Good evening, happy Friday. It is Friday, August 27, 2021, and I'm here, your host and co-host with the founders of the Seer Mastermind Group. I'm here with my co-host Maurice Bay, Majida Bay, and your mastermind coach Bakar Obey. Majida Bay, your financial conductor, Maurice Bay, the helpful trucker. What's happening, family? What's going on tonight?
How are you this evening, sir?
Hey, I got a shimmy in my step, so I'm feeling good.
That's what's up.
Feeling great. How about yourselves?
I'm doing great. G, how about you?
Wonderful. Phenomenal.
Wonderful.
Bro, but look, I don't want to talk about, I don't know if it's okay to talk about this on air or not.
Yeah,
but,
let's do it.
Okay, so you already know what I'm going to ask about, I guess, huh?
I guess I do.
What's going on? What happened? What's the deal, bro?
I'm fine. A bunch of nothing.
Okay, so
nothing happened.
Okay, so what made you go?
It felt like something that I could deal with my own.
So there was I didn't know whether you had a reason to go, you know what I'm saying, or whether like you may have went just to get something checked up on. You get what I'm saying? And they told you something else when you got there. I didn't know whether you went just to get something checked up on or whether you had some pain or something, and that's the reason why you went. You had some discomfort, obviously, huh?
I got you. So we're just going to dive into it. So let me catch you guys up. What's been going on this week? No, it's cool. We got the suspense. He's like, what is he talking about? Listen, welcome to the Seer Mastermind Show. We are Seer Mastermind Group, helping creative entrepreneurs with support, encouragement, accountability, and
recognition.
I was going to say responsibility, but that's the same as accountability.
That'll work too.
But with recognition as well. And we get together every week, every couple of weeks, in order to keep each other accountable, in progressing in our goals, as well as to provide you with some information, with some nuggets, with a glimpse of what the journey looks like. We're starting midway, each of us, in different points. So as we grow, you have a chance to grow with us. So we're glad if you're tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube.
This might be the beginning. But anyway.
Somewhere on the S curve, right? Do something like that. Here we go.
Oh, you know that way. Yeah.
Either way, we're all working.
Growth. It's that way.
It keep going. I'll be realistic.
That's flatlining. That's like plateauing.
No.
No.
You gotta think about your life journey, right? At some point, you're gonna plateau, right? You're not gonna just keep going up. That's just not realistic. So,
all right, you're catching us on the up.
On the upswing, right? I was talking with my group earlier this week, and we'll get into what occurred this week, what's going on this week, what's been going on the last couple of weeks. Are high value individuals still winning, and all of that as we jump into today's topic. But I did simply want to say, yeah, we're all working to get into that 99th percentile. Some call it the 1%, but I like to be a lot more inclusive. Say that we all growing and reaching that 99th percentile in our execution, in our purpose, in our effort, in our gifts, in our, just being ourselves in life. So I'm excited to be part of our story, our journey, our way with you too. So before I get into me and my health challenges this week, what's been happening with you all since we were last together with John and the gang?
Go for it, G.
Uh-oh, you went mute.
Yeah. All right. What's been going on? Just my schedule's changing a little bit with school starting up and all that. So preparing for a school year and my daughter's part-time job of gymnastics, which is nice. Like 3 days a week, 3 hours per day. So just revamping my schedule to go back to being chauffeur and all that jazz.
But she getting paid yet? By the time they start contributing.
She's excited about her abs, right? She's like, look, I got 4 of them, right? You can see them. So yeah. Like she on it. So yeah.
Let's go.
Exciting. Yeah, I re-enrolled in Zynga, my youngest daughter, back into gymnastics. So she'll start the week the school starts, just so she can start to, get active. She always seeing her sister doing things, so get her back. I want to get her into soccer at some point. And then John actually had encouraged me to get them into, I think he said jujitsu or something. So
It's hot nowadays.
yeah, man, I'm just thinking wild thoughts. Like it is, I don't know. You hang around some people who are crazy enough to believe in themselves. Eventually you'll start to believe in yourself and think wild thoughts. Think of like the impossible. Like I'm just dreaming big and the sky's the limit. So I'm excited.
Oh man, she's got that girly glow. I love it. Hey, this year's turning around. My G's got her energy, got her fire. I love it. I love to see it. How about you, Maurice?
All is well, bro.
All is well.
I envy Majida because I ain't going nowhere.
What do you mean?
I ain't putting nobody in nothing. I ain't doing none of that. I don't know. Call me watching the news too much. You know what I mean? I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know, but it's the pandemic has changed things, man. I don't want to switch gears. I ain't trying to switch gears, but the pandemic has how so?
For you, because you were the one who's saying, man, nothing's changed for you.
Well, nothing has changed as far as my work or anything like that. But like, me and my wife, me and my family haven't really been anywhere since the pandemic started. That's one thing that has changed. I was talking to my wife just a couple of days ago, right, or a couple of weeks ago actually, and it kind of hit me like a revelation type of thing. It's like, man, no wonder we so tired all of the time, man. Like before the pandemic, our children, Yashia, was going to school every day, right? Yasmin would get a break from Yashia, and Yashia would get a break from Yasmin, which Yashia needs as well. But for the past year and a half, they haven't had that regular daily break from each other. So when I thought about that, I said, man, it makes sense that my wife would be extra tired. Like we as parents right now, we have had to do more to keep them engaged and entertained. You know what I mean? Because we don't have that 8 hours or 10 hours a day that Yashia could spend at school. And the same thing with Maurice, because at this point, 5 years old, even if he wasn't, he would be starting school this year, but he might would have started preschool last year, and he may would have even started like they got the new Kent, the daycare right up the street from the house. So you know what I mean? Like that's one thing. Like our tiredness has gone to another level, and I've felt that over the last year, but it really just hit me on the last couple of weeks as to why that may be happening. You know what I mean? That's like I said, that's one thing. That's one thing right there. Plus just the like, I don't know about y'all, man, but I still got to go to the DMV. And when I go to the DMV and I can't get in there, or you go in and something is not at full capacity or it's not opened all the way yet, you still dealing with all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So, it definitely is still getting in the way. 100%. You know what I mean? That's why I say I'm not joking when I say I envy Majida. You know what I mean? Like if you could find yourself being in that zone, kind of like Rihanna said in one of her songs, we found love in a hopeless place. If you can find happiness in a hopeless place where, most people can't find it at, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? But hey, this pandemic has affected things. So, but I mean, I don't want to get on that and drag along on that, man, because, I'm going to still grind it out regardless. Me and my family's still going to hit it hard regardless. You know what I mean? But everything is good. Everything is lovely. This past week was extremely busy. This past week was so busy, I ain't even have a chance to check no analytics. I ain't have a chance to look back and look at anything, how any videos was doing. I really didn't, man. It's crazy. But I did work hard enough this week to take off today. So I took off today, took care of some administrative stuff, chased around some video stuff. I went and got me a Pod Track 4, which is it's a recorder. It's a podcast recorder. It's something to route your mic through, basically, to help. It's I don't want to get complicated, but it's
because both of us were giving you the look like
if we're doing one thing that it does is if we're doing an on-site podcast all together, like and all of us on different mics, that right there, we can run each audio signal into different things, and then you can edit each audio track on its own, you know what I'm saying, to make the levels the same and all of that good stuff. But I got it so that I can do sounds on our podcast. So as soon as I hook that up, I'll be able to, somebody drop the mic, I'll be able to hit the gun sound. Boom! That's the reason why I got that. I got that, and last week when we was going on when we were going on live with John, I kept losing my internet signal, so I got a Wi-Fi range extender today. I chased that around today. I got me a new webcam. Y'all looking at me right now through a new Logitech webcam. That is what the improved image quality is about. Got me a bunch of permits ordered today for my truck. Spent $750 today on permits for my truck.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hey, so
balling over there.
I don't know about all that, man. I'm working. Running a truck is expensive. I ain't never been one to say I'm making $1 million. You understand what I'm saying? I'm figuring that out though. I've definitely figured it out.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, shoot, speaking of leveling up, little things, I say one of the biggest wins for me over the last 2 weeks was completing registration for my coaching program. Just joined the 12-week coaching program with Coach Ben. Second shout out of the week. I heard you on the S2S podcast last week. But man, just to add to God, made that possible, made it come through, and it's really been helping me to focus on what to do daily, especially after doing a one-on-one coaching session with myself. Man, I'm telling you, there was nothing like sitting down with yourself and talking through your own issues to the point where you make your own self cry, right? And after today, I had one of my coaches do it as well. And she was able to get herself to a breakthrough. So I believe in the power of coaching, and there are things that you can do with support, right? And I highly encourage that to fill in the blind spots. Man, so much is already in each and every one of us. So much is in us that we can see it if we just take the time to like have a open, honest conversation with ourselves. So I'm happy. I'm grateful for you guys this week, because we've been having these honest conversations with each other for over a year now. And I've seen everybody grow and change in different ways, just making, steady gains. But really feel like, man, this thing is on the verge of a breakthrough. So that's been some of the great news. On the other side, I guess on the positive side, I went to the doctor this week. Everything's A-okay. All tests came back negative, but I was feeling a little something just was off. And it was a couple of days that it lasted, it didn't feel right. So I figured, instead of try to, be a Google doctor myself, I went looked up some symptoms, was like, yeah, this is probably out of my control. And then if nothing else, I either know what's going on and I have to guess and I have to worry. So I must say that I don't know what's going on. I mean, other than COVID and how that's affecting things, but 10 hours.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there. It's like, that's in the way, man. That's
10 hours.
in the way, man.
It threw my whole week off.
That's in the way.
In the way what? What are you talking about?
Who got 10 hours? Like, seriously? That's it. That's what I'm talking about right there. Like, this thing is in the way, man. Somebody got 10 hours for that, man.
So here's the cool part about it, though. Even being there 10 hours, my Jesus, keep your clothes on now.
What is really going on up in this piece?
She's really in a good mood tonight. Listen, we climbing.
But that's my mantra in the back. Y'all hear that? The anthem.
No. What's that?
I bounce to the beat.
Oh my gosh. Listen to them kids. She's gonna get her shut down. But no, it was the cool part was that the things that were going on in my business were able to continue going, man. Even when I was taken out, granted, when I was sitting in there and I'm sending messages out, because if it was something serious, like I want everybody in my family to know I'm sending these messages out, I was like, yo, is this going to be my legacy? Like, if this was my legacy today, like, I got a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do. When I get out of here, I can't go down. I can't go down because my work's not done yet. And it was just a great wake-up call in a positive way. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm glad that everything checked out. It was really a whole lot of nothing. But it didn't feel like it. You know what I mean? Just I needed to drink some more water or something. That's
That
what
can
it,
do it. That can
what it
do
all came down to. And I felt like I'd been hydrated, been regular, but yeah, going to the doctors, nothing was up. So,
it. Tell me what you mean by your work ain't done, though. I don't want to switch gears on you, but
no, that's a good.
your work
So,
ain't done. What you mean?
with my coaching practice, I'm seeing like people are really, really having breakthroughs. And like I said, after last week, coaching myself through a breakthrough. I mean, like, and I can talk a little bit about that. So I scheduled a discovery call, the same thing I do with everybody that I meet with, just to find out, man, what's going on? What do you need help with? How can we get you moving in a direction that's going to help and serve you? And my questions really came to be about my own self-image. I didn't realize that I was dealing with these issues of my own self-image, right? How I show up in the world. Like I know and believe of who I'm becoming, but there was a part of me, and I call him my 5-year-old self, right? I tend to relate when I'm having these conversations. There was a former version of me that's at odds with something, that's scared or struggling with something. And I say, I've been talking a lot with my 7-year-old version. My 7-year-old been running the show. He's been having fun. He's been saying, like, I'm going to do what I want to do in life, right? But my 5-year-old version of myself had this idea of responsibility. I think he, as we grew up in the temple, and we learn these lessons about like instructions for children. We learn these lessons on how the parent's supposed to take care of your children, and ultimately how you got to learn to take care of yourself as a child. And so at a young age, I developed this understanding or complex that one day I would become the parent to me, right? One day I would become the parent to me. When my parents weren't, when I became an adult, I'd have to be the one to parent me, to teach me and make sure that I continue to learn the lessons and grow in, all of the lessons of, love and charity and obedience and, diligence and all of those lessons that we grew up with. But a few years ago when, I my relationship fell apart, when, I was getting in car accidents left and right or getting pulled over left and right, down in Atlanta, when lost my job and found myself struggling to take care. Like my 5-year-old lost confidence in me. Right. The 5-year-old version lost confidence in the 31-year-old version of myself to be able to take care of. Right. When I had to rely on friends and rely on family in order to take care of some of my own basic needs. And it wasn't until last weekend that I was able to confidently say to myself, man, I'm going to take care of you from here forward. Because I hadn't still, over the last 4 years, hadn't proven it to myself, right? That 5-year-old was still asking, was still wondering, was still questioning whether I'd be fully responsible, take care of myself the way that, a family demands that you. And, both of you have children, so I'm sure you understand. It's like you can't make up any excuses for your children, right? When your children need, you have to provide.
Yep.
But I don't have any children. I have me, right? But there's a part of me that's still that child. There's a part of me that still has those basic needs, that still has those strong desires, that still has a dream, right? And through all of the work that I've been doing, like I hadn't been nurturing, that young child's dream. I hadn't been nurturing. Like I've been building it, but I hadn't really been nurturing him in the confidence, or hadn't been nurturing to regain the confidence that I lost years ago when I had invested I invested my life in a way that wasn't fully serving me. I invested my life in a false sense of security, right? That, a job and a girlfriend or fiance, like that, all of those things would help take care of me when I was giving all of my energy to take care of those things. And then when they showed me, well, no, we can let you go at a drop of a hat. And I was left, out on my A. I lost confidence in myself. Like, how do I go about creating a life when everything I've been putting into practice the last 30 years turned out to be a lie, turned out to be as flimsy as paper, right? Turned out to truly be insecure. And I've been working through it, But it wasn't until the other day that I had to finally like face it. That no matter how I show up, man, I get on these calls, I can talk to people, you know, I can get on coach calls, I can coach people through their own issues and things like that. But to really take hold of the things that that I got to take care of, right? I'd been somewhat codependent, relying on others, right? For whatever reasons, making excuses instead of taking full responsibility for every single thing. Even though I know I've been moving in that direction since then, but I have to do it differently than I see around me, right? I have to do it in a very fully self-reliant way. And it wasn't until the other day that I felt fully confident that I'm gonna take care of those things in a fully self-reliant way, the same way any other parent would themselves. And for you guys, like that just may be automatic. Would you say? Do you feel like when it comes to taking care of you, it's automatic?
I actually said one time, like, I don't know whether it was a year, 2 years ago, when Majida and Yasmin went to Florida. Is that a year, 2 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they was down there for a week. Right? I ain't had a week all to myself. Now, let me rephrase that because that's not the right terminology. I was about to say all to myself. I haven't had a week away from my family, like no children. I had nobody else to think about for a week. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to be home because I feel like, you know, my wife want me to be there, or because my children miss me, or because I miss them. You know what I'm saying? It was for a whole 7 days. It was just, all right, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You know what I mean? You ain't got nowhere to be. You don't need to be in it. You ain't obligated to be nowhere. So what do you want to do? And it was difficult. It was easy, but it was difficult. It was difficult because I've been used to taking care of my family for so long that it felt like a breeze to be in the position to just have to look after me. I mean, it felt like, man, like this is easy. But that's what was difficult about it at the same time, because I'm used to having that, you know what I mean? And I didn't have it for that week. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It is kind of at this point, you know what I mean? Once you've been doing it for so long, it's the norm. You know what I mean? And then you go back to a situation where it's just you.
And it can be a welcome distraction, but there are a lot of people in our population that deal with that. Parents whose children are leaving the nest, right? Or people who may be in a relationship and find themselves, you know, separated or divorced, right? Or ending a relationship. People who are retiring, right?
I was cool with it though. I was cool with it. Going like I wasn't cool with it. I ain't had but a week to enjoy it. A little bit different than the person that just got a divorce or whatever. You know what I mean? They got to get used to a whole new situation. For me, it was just that 7 days. And it was just, like I said, I could tell the difference. I know how I felt when I first stepped out on my own in regards to taking care of myself. And I know how I felt during that week. It was just like taking care of myself was didn't feel overwhelming at all that week. What do you think, G?
I think I struggle with the opposite. I do struggle with just taking care of me, because even when it was just me, I was still taking care of other people. I was, you know, like I've always had this taking care of other people before taking care of myself. So when people would be like, what do you do for you? I'm like, well, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, work. like that's fun for me. I kind of dive into my work and I dive into accomplishing things. And for a long time, I attached my value to what I could produce, right? Like what I could give. And I don't have that mindset or mentality anymore, but I do have a strong connection to other people. And so even when it comes to like setting goals, like I can't just do stuff for me. Like I don't even enjoy just doing stuff for me. Like, but I do recognize that like I like one-on-one, you know, more than just like being around a bunch of people.
You think you don't enjoy doing stuff for you?
Well, so like I've thought about that, right? You know, like if I wanted to travel, like I could go travel, but I would still have to go with other people. What you want? Because I want somebody to like enjoy the trip. What? Quiet.
Well, she's so silly. Well, that's kind of different. You know, I'm thinking like the week that I had away from my family, I had time to work out.
Wow.
I ain't interested in, but I don't feel like I have time to work out in a normal day to day. But during that week, it's like, why not? I got time to go to the Y if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, if I had a week to myself, I would probably just stay in the house and read a book or 2 or 3. Like I enjoy quiet. Like that's what, just quiet time. It's always a lot of noise.
Yeah, I feel you. I be wanting to work out. I be wanting to. I want to start taking judo lessons or karate lessons or something like that. I would love to.
I will go back to taking salsa.
It's so many things that I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind being selfish in this sense. It's so many things that I would like to do. You know what I mean? For me, I could see myself being a music teacher someday. I could literally see myself being because I love music. I can literally, I have images. You know, sometimes you just see yourself doing certain things. I could literally see myself conducting an orchestra. I promise you. I know that sounds like the weirdest thing, but I mean, I love music. I know it's something that I would have to hone and go to school and study for, but I could see myself being up there conducting an orchestra like no other conductor has ever done. I bring a whole new flavor to it. You know what I mean? I don't want to get too far off or away from our discussion, but I'm just saying, like, man, like to be able to just do some stuff you want to do and you ain't got to think about nobody else or you ain't got to, you know, you just, what you want to do? Okay, I'm going out to eat because I want to go out to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Wow.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your
ear. You know what though? I really feel like this is an important discussion to have though, because I would say my orientation was a little different. All right, like I've in my visions, like I'm a family man. I'm a family man through and through. However, like until I'm providing, like modeling for my family, what I envision for us, like I don't feel secure, and I didn't feel secure in that, right? Like for me, freedom and choice are huge values. You know, we talked about that before, but freedom and choice are huge values. Right? And so if I'm not creating a space for my family to be free and to choose, right? For them to, hey, if they want to go work out, like there's nothing holding them back. No children, no like you want to go work out, right? You've got the freedom to choose to do. You are not tied down to anything besides what you choose and are free to do. Like to me, that's what living is gonna look like for me. And so when I think about, like I said, what I was dealing with over the last 4 years, I realized, man, this whole dream life that I had built up was built on sand, right? It's like trying to build a house on water. Sure, it might float, but it's not real secure. It's not real stable, right? And when the bottom literally like fell out from under me, it's like I can't go back to building on that again and live a life and feel free and secure, right? Because certain things were out of my control. You muted.
Just keep in mind, I'm gonna let you continue. Free and secure don't go together. Bro.
No, they don't. Yeah. No, they don't. No, and that was part of what I had to overcome. Is like I built up on this false sense of security. That okay, as long as I'm showing up to this job, and as long as you know my partner still values me the way that I value them, and as long as you know my community, like none of that stuff is a guarantee. And I know
100%.
Eric Thomas talks about like you got to give up on guarantees if you want to live free. Like nothing in life is guaranteed, but so for some reason we've been conditioned to think we're gonna get guarantees in life.
I think the key word is irregardless. I think the key word is irregardless. That's what warriors do. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's what real men do. They find a way irregardless. You know what I'm saying? Like all of your, like and Mike Tyson said, everybody and women, like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face. Real boxers find a way to win irregardless of getting punched in the face. The weak ones get punched in the face and let it force them back into the corner. Period in the story. The real entrepreneurs, everybody go through it. I was listening to your video, and you know how many times I had to move back in with my parents, with family, with
No, I
family,
don't.
with a wife. I had to move back in with my parents 3 times.
3?
With a wife,
Man,
with children.
You know how strong my resolutions and convictions have been? Yeah, like when I said at 20, like I'm not going back, I promise you. Like it was the last thing.
You'll go back if you need to.
I go back.
And here's the
like,
thing, and this goes. I'm gonna let you talk, but here's my point that I want to get to. This is the thing, and I was bringing this up to somebody else. I'm not going back. All right, well, what if that's what's required? It goes back to that word, irregardless. Do you want it bad enough? What if that's what's required? You got to be willing to. It's like playing Deal or No Deal. You got to be willing to say no to the $700,000 offer in order to get to the $1 million offer. That's kind of how it is. Like, you got to be willing to say, you know what, man, if that's what's required, I'm going to find a way irregardless. And if that's the path I got to go through, then it's all good. And I'm going to be all right.
No, I feel that. And like the year that I initially was going through those challenges, like when the opportunity presented to come back, when the invitation was extended to come back, like I turned it down because I was like, no, I got to figure this out. For me, I cannot just be comfortable with just running back and thinking everything is going to be taken care of. Like, I have to come back with something. Like, that's the promise I'd always made to myself, right? And then even in coming back into the space, I had to learn some new lessons, some new challenges, right? That the life that I had standing on had been built on sand, right? And so I had to build a new foundation, right? Had to build it from really starting my life all over again from infancy and saying now with these new values, relying on, myself and being my own powers and gifts to create and the resources and the people around me, to eliminate guilt and ego and all of those things that were built and conditioned into me, whether intentional or unintentional. I had to rebuild myself through those challenges, in order to get to a point to saying, okay, my life forward, like what I'm going to model from here forward is choice, freedom, right? And personal accountability. Personal accountability, right? One of my aims is to be a standard of accountability in my life. People be like, oh yeah, when they think of me, they think of accountability, right? Somebody who took it upon himself, who makes no excuses and takes ownership for every single decision that he makes from here forward. Point blank, period. So it's been a challenge. It's been a struggle. Yeah, and I said it tonight, but it was great to get to that point. It was great to get to that moment, to the point where, I'm scheduling one-on-ones with me every week. Like I'm paying myself. I make the transfer and everything. It's on my own accounts because it became that important. Like, that's a new habit, to just have that kind of conversation with myself. Okay, what do you need this week, B?
Why aren't you being held accountable by someone else other than yourself? Just wondering.
I am. It started here with you all.
No. You ain't getting off that one on that easy, bro.
I'm coming to it. I'm coming to it. Like I just said, you got
a group that functions without you. Why aren't you getting coached why aren't you having one of them take you through that session as opposed to you taking yourself through that session? Just wondering. No right or wrong answer. Just wondering.
So this exercise actually was intentional for that purpose. Because one of the things that I discovered in research, many coaches come across, is like having the confidence to believe that they can do what they believe to do at the level that they want to do it for others, but they've never done it with themselves, right? They don't have the confidence that, like, somewhere deep in them, they don't believe that they can do it because of whatever reason. Something in their past has them believing, imposter syndrome, whatever, has them believe that they're not capable of doing for themselves what they believe they could do for others. So the purpose of the exercise was to show me that I can do for me what I intend to do for others as well, right? To be my own best client in that regard.
Okay.
So if I can sit down with myself and have a conversation, an honest conversation that moves me to tears, it's just like, oh, this is what I've been holding on to.
Yep.
Right. But also to be able to remain objective, to work through it. Who's that? see your comment just came in.
So how about this?
We're how does that connect to the main topic? I love it. You know what? We're gonna connect that perfectly to the main topic because I'm great at making connections.
That must be K.
We can go over to Facebook to find out who
No,
it is.
No. It's unnecessary. Let's get to the main content. I think that's what they say.
Let's talk about the main topic, right? So all of that is, recognizing who you are, which for how do you set yourself apart? How do you Oh, okay. Your daughter came up with that question. Beautiful. How do you set yourself apart? That's what we're talking about tonight. How do you
render your competition irrelevant? How do you set yourself apart? Yeah. How do you stand apart in a sea of competition?
So I think Majida, I like to start with you because you've got a couple of industries in which you operate in, and being Asiatic woman in construction as well as a single mother in the financial industry. Like, you got a lot of different dynamics that distinguish you on the surface, but I want you to drive a little deeper, if you would. How do you render your competition irrelevant?
I think,
or you stay on the surface.
I think that's actually one way to start. Go into an industry where there aren't that many people that look like you. And I can't say that I did that intentionally, but I believe I was called to do that. Right? Like, in terms of construction, I didn't imagine myself doing what I'm doing. Now I'm thinking even wilder thoughts about what I could do. And when I look around the room, there's not many people, if any, that look like me, and not many who are in the position that I'm in. And so it makes me believe that I'm not here by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to set myself apart, right, when I don't look like everybody in my space. So that's one distinction, right?
So listen to your calling. That's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at, you can even look at it just industries in general. Like, I was talking to a good friend of mine today who works in education. Well, men in education, and particularly minority men in education, there
are unicorns.
Are unicorns, right? I was gonna say anomalies, but Takira, help your sister. And so I'm not gonna say it's necessarily easier to render your competition relevant. You still got to do the work. You still have to invest the time, and that's something that I'm like just starting to do now. 15 years in, I'm now getting excited about like studying my industry, whereas before I was just doing the work and learning how it all operated, right? Kind of looking at it from a bird's eye view, but like that wasn't my job. My job wasn't to, oversee how things are and make changes, right? Like I don't operate in that capacity, but I have the capacity to do it.
Hi, baby. Hi, baby. All right, go play.
So, if you find yourself in a space where when you look around, maybe it's uncomfortable, maybe it's tension, maybe whatever, embrace that to an extent. And, it's something that I learned from our accountability call, like, see how you can make an impact in that area, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at it from that perspective, like, you're there for a reason, how can you make an impact in that space? And so I've had the ideas about how to bridge the gap between the retiring generation of construction workers and the new generation that goes into what they call the gig economy, right? And they don't have to do hard labor in order to make a living. And so how do we bridge that gap? Because we will need construction in the future. I'm sure of it. But who's going to do that work, or how is that work going to get done? And so, having ideas about that. I could just sit on the sidelines and watch what happens. or I can get in the game and make something happen.
Mm.
Like, now I'm in that space where like I want to make something happen, right? Because I see the.
Did you mean lights?
The what do you call it? I see the opportunity in the challenge, and
Gotcha.
I feel like I'm in a position to take advantage of
I
it.
didn't find a group or device name like.
So, two things I heard you say from that. One is listen to your calling, right? Like go where you're called to see what problems you could solve. And I guess it gets to the second point that I heard is like find a unique challenge to solve in that space. That's how you can render your competition irrelevant. You solve a problem, nobody else will solve it. How about you, Maurice? You got a lot of competition in the trucking industry.
I do. Well, not in the necessary. I don't really see it as I got a lot of competition.
Talk about it.
Yeah, I don't see it as I got a lot of competition in the trucking industry. I got a lot of competition in the trucking YouTube world because there's a lot of course, there's a lot of, I don't know what kind of research you've been doing or what kind of checking out on my channel you've been doing, but there's a lot of YouTube trucking channels. I mean, there's a lot, and it makes sense. They're YouTube trucking channels ain't hard to create. It's not like a person is in the marketing niche or in the make money from home niche where they got to have all of this pretty equipment and all of this fancy editing, and the video got to be all pretty, and they got to upload a lot and all of that stuff too, right? So trucking content is you could just go on and just talk and just give helpful nuggets, and people will find your content because people are searching for trucking content. Plus, people that advertise on trucking videos pay real good money. So what am I saying? If you can create a trucking video that gets views, you'll make money from it just from ad revenue. That's the main reason I believe why there are so many trucking channels. So the question is, how do you stand out? I was just telling Yasmin earlier today, man, there's a lot of things an individual can do to stand out, and there's a lot of subjects that you can apply this to. So we could be talking about how to render your competition irrelevant if you're dealing with relationships. Like everybody, if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, every woman looking for a man, every man is being looked for by a woman. How do you stand out amongst all the other women that's looking for men, right? How
Don't
do you
look for the man, let him look for you.
That's one way to do it. 100%. I would agree. That's one way to do it. But what I'm saying is, like, you could be talking about how to render your competition irrelevant in relationships. You could be talking about getting a job. Everybody looking for the job. The employer has 100 different applications in front of him. How do you get yours to stand out? It's all the same subject. You got 100 different, people making videos just like you on YouTube. You say, I want to make videos on this subject, but ain't no use in doing it because the market is saturated. There's too many other people creating videos. So how do you stand out? Because when the market is saturated, that's a good thing. When you got a business that you want to start and you look online and it's a bunch of people already doing that business, that means it's money to be made in that industry. When you looking online to create a business and you say, well, I want to go into this niche, and you look and ain't nobody doing it, you say, well, I'm going to be the first one to do it. Well, you don't want to be the first or the last. Okay. It might be a reason why nobody's there doing it. You know what I mean? So, but where I'm going to with this is, again, this is something that can apply to anything. So, but just looking at it from a business perspective or from the YouTube perspective, something I was just letting Yasmin know about the other earlier today. One thing that I have done that I've stumbled up on, I believe, in the last few weeks, and I say stumbled up on it because I heard David and Donnie talking about this on one of their most recent episodes. I also heard this on a video that was addressed how to render your competition irrelevant. It was based on the book Blue Ocean Strategy, right? And they were talking about how you can go and get customers from other segments. You can go and get, people. You can market in other segments. So what I've kind of started doing lately, without even intentionally doing it, I just kind of did it just because, there's two approaches. I can be the helpful trucker because I create helpful trucking content, or I can be the helpful trucker because I'm a trucker that creates helpful content. It's slightly different. And lately, for the last few weeks, I kind of been accidentally stumbled up on it. I kind of been putting more focus on being I call myself the helpful trucker because I'm a trucker and I'm creating helpful content. So I've been making videos dealing with business and entrepreneurship and becoming an owner operator lately. And I've been making and the bullet points that I've been making in these videos on purpose, I make them generic business owner bullet points. So I don't just make the bullet points specific to owner operators or people that want to get their own truck. I make the bullet points specific to anybody wanting to start a business.
I love it.
And the objective is to make the content more appealing to somebody outside of the trucking. So whereas I feel a lot of YouTubers are they're in their truck, they're a trucker, and they're making content for the trucker, I'm kind of been accidentally leaning towards being the trucker, making content for the ice cream shop owner, you know what I mean? Or some other. And so it's like, I kind of feel that I'm reaching
the owner operator making content for other owner operators.
No. Yeah. I mean, that is true, but I've been wanting to go outside of that.
No, but I mean, transferring others who own something and operate it on their own.
Good point. 100%.
That's what I mean. 100%. Yeah, is stretching 100% your market in other segments, 100%. Right? Having that versatility.
And I have, you're 100%. And I have had several comments over the last few weeks. So people are like, I'm not even a truck driver and I'm really enjoying your content. I'm going to send this piece of content to my sister-in-law. She's about to start her own business. And I'm like, boom, that's interesting how that's happening. So I don't think the other people that are creating trucking content are thinking that way. So it's like, okay, I can do this in a way where I'm going into an untapped market, right? You know, any business owner operator is used to listening to content on YouTube pertaining to his industry from people in his industry, but it's a little bit different when you hear somebody talking stuff that's relevant to you, but from a totally foreign industry. You know what I mean? A little bit of a different.
You're more open to it because maybe in your industry you've heard it all.
Exactly, right? 100.
It's saturated. You're used to hearing it a certain way from a certain type of people, and could still be valid information, but it's not reaching you in the same way. It's, what's the term that I'm looking for? That you've like not tone deaf to it, but
essentially, yes. I was trying to explain it to Yasmin today, and when I got to the same point that you're at right now, and I'm like, I can't really find the words, but she's like, I think I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah, you kind of become tone deaf to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I definitely think that's something that I'm kind of stumbling up on, where it's like, it don't really matter what my competition is doing. I'm kind of over here focusing. And then I got another point as well, but I want to stop for now.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and throw my point in because I tend to look at, I'm always competing with myself. Right. And so how do I take that message and, as you said, make it valuable, make it attractive, make it obvious that others want to invest in some way. And I think I'll take it from an artist perspective or artistic perspective, right? When you think of artists, their works are unique, right? Like they're not in competition with anyone else. They're really just working to put out the most appealing expression of themselves. And that authenticity is what often attracts people to their work, right? Or that work reflecting their audience in some way. So one of the things that I think, one of the easiest ways, well, I ain't gonna say easiest ways, but I think one of the most surefire ways to distinguish yourself from your competition is to be authentic, right? There's so many people that are fitting in, that are copying, that are showing it. Something I love what ET and the team on S2S said earlier this week, or last week. What was it? That if you're faking, right? If you're faking it or not being real, you're putting out fake shows. You're putting, you're trying to show the flashy stuff, and you want to show what the destination looks like, but you ain't really gotten to the destination. Like it's gonna come caving. It's gonna cave down on you. It's gonna come crashing down on you. So why not just be real all the way from the beginning? And that's rare. Like people are attracted, people are drawn to you just being you and being real. So like to be able, no matter what I do, I'm gonna do me in it. No matter what I do, I'm gonna be me in it. And nobody can duplicate me. Not a single being on this planet can duplicate a copy, who I am, how I think, what I do, my lived experiences. So if I'm coming from that real place, like there is no competition but myself, how do I do me better? Period. How do I do me better? Right. And that's what this whole journey. I'm a connector for you, Yashay. I hope you're still listening. Right. Let's make the connection. I have been following somebody else's plan for me for 31 years. And when the bottom of that fell out, I realized from here forward, I'm going to do me. I'm going to double down on my own goals, my own beliefs, my own life. And the young version of me said, oh, man, we still struggling, though. I don't know if I can believe in this way. And that's what you probably hear from a lot of people who don't see you getting it to the level that you imagine a dream when you're starting off doing something on your own. Every entrepreneur has heard it, right? And oh, man, it was powerful when my sister, when she was coaching herself earlier today, she didn't believe that she could be great, even though it sounded ridiculous. But the block that she was having is she didn't believe that she could be great because all her life she was told stuff like, well, that's hard work. Or, that's not what we do. As if like being great, being entrepreneur, being exceptional was outside of their middle class mindset. It wasn't something that you could actually attain.
We weren't taught that as a child. As a child, you was taught to be seen and not heard. Don't go making a whole bunch of noise. Don't come in the room trying to get attention. Out. Don't stand out. Like you're never gonna get known in this world if you don't find a way to stand out. Yo, I love my parents, but it was bad advice.
And you can pinpoint where a lot of that comes from, right? Different generational mindsets and traditions exactly. and fears and challenges and stuff that realities that maybe don't exist the same in our present, right? Don't present themselves. But the reality is that we all had a choice, right? We may have different challenges, different struggles, different ways to survive, right? Because survival is real for people all across the globe, like making the decisions to at least stay alive when you dealing with extreme and adverse situations. But no, I think it's really, 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 really valuable. Once you make a decision to be authentically, to choose your own path and not someone else's, yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be the kind of hard that's going to be the most rewarding. All right.
Can I ask you this question? Can I ask you a question on that?
Absolutely.
And if whoever's watching this, if you want to answer it now, you can as well too. But I'm asking you to. Are you okay with nobody following?
Absolutely.
Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
No, I'm not. Majid, I want to hear your answer first. Explain your answer.
Why am I okay with?
I already know her answer.
Why am I okay with nobody following me? You're talking about in terms of like followers on social media, that type of thing.
I'm talking about in terms of you trying to put your message out in the world, whatever that may be, and you're trying, but nobody's following. And when I say, are you okay with that? I don't mean, I don't care. I just mean, are you willing to do that if that's what it takes? That's essentially what I'm saying.
I believe if there's a message that I'm called to put out,
which there is,
if it's not resonating with other people, then I need to work on how I'm presenting that message.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to judge whether I should put that message out based on whether people hear me or not, right?
That's the point that I'm getting to right there.
Yeah, like I'm still gonna say, right? Like every week, John and I, and it might be 1-2 people watching or no people watching, but every week we show up and we do our momentum chat and our ABCs and Wealth series because the information can benefit other people. Mm-hmm. And maybe they don't watch it when we do it live, maybe, right? But like sometimes I'll get on social media and I'll see that somebody shared it. And like people that I don't know that are watching it, or somebody will reach out to me, right? Like I got a message earlier this week, and then I had an appointment today with somebody I know I prospected probably 5-6 years ago. Like I don't even remember when I reached out to him previously. He reached back out to me, so I could have stopped talking 5-6 years ago and never got into this place where I started being comfortable in front of the camera, started being vocal online and all of that. And maybe he never would have reached back out, right? But I think this is something I think I shared before, right? A career has to be built, and it ain't built overnight. And so, for me, it's just doing the work consistently
I got you.
over time, and who that work is supposed to reach will reach, right? Like I've been in construction now for 15 plus years, and now I have the confidence, the belief, and the evidence that I could take it further, right? When I got into construction, I was green. I didn't have a clue, right? I had to learn a lot. And like 5 years in, I was kind of like, all right, I kind of know the work now. Like, what's the next challenge? And at that time, I was told that, I was going to be stuck there because there was no room yet for me to grow. And I'm wired to grow. And so shortly thereafter, I was offered an opportunity, which allowed me to expand even further. And even after that, I was like, I don't know if it's for me. They don't really want me here, right? Like, I'm not supposed to be here. To now, I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be here. And I don't care, right? like Rochelle T. Park says, whether you like it or not, I really don't care. But like, I'm not going anywhere. Like I see myself in this for a reason, and with the opportunity to affect change in a positive way. So, like, do I walk away from that because nobody's following me? I don't care. Because
Gotcha. Okay, stop right there. Because I want to ask. That's essentially what I'm hitting on right there. What I wanted to ask you, Bakar. I feel like I could be wrong about this. People don't like being rejected. Like, we know that's a necessary part of this journey. But people don't like being rejected, and people will try and just for a few times and get rejected a few times, or it doesn't go the way they want to, and they'll stop. Right. So that's what I meant when I asked the question, are you okay with people not following you? And so, Bakar, let me, what's your take on that?
So I definitely want to give my G to kudos for that response, because I'm glad that side of the perspective was shared. Like, I don't care to the degree that I'm not going to stop doing me, but here's why it does matter to me if anybody's following. Primarily, like, in my spiritual journey, right? Like, I've had the conversations with Allah. I've had the conversations and discovered, like, what am I here for? When I felt like I walked up to the gate and be like, all right, what's the purpose of my life? Oh, just to be one with you? Cool. So how do I do that? Like, I'm here. Like, take me now. He was like, you can't come along. So when I say no, I'm not cool. Like, for me, it's on a spiritual level. I wasn't sent here just to live a life in isolation. I wasn't sent here for nobody to, like, I was sent here to model something for someone. So if nobody's following that example, I'm not living in the right example. And that wears on me. Secondly, when I think about being growth minded, if I spend my life spinning my tires and not moving anywhere, not getting any traction, right? And traction being defined as other people who are catching on to your message and modeling themselves after a pattern that you established. Right? You think about anybody who's been great and made an impact in this world, who's had a significant or meaningful, as we might perceive it, existence. It's because others valued, appreciated. Sometimes it wasn't till after their death, but somebody else saw the value in it down the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't leave that out. Sometimes it don't happen. They don't get
happen in your life.
Yeah. So don't forget that. That goes right back to, and then that goes right back to an individual demonstrating, putting out their whole life. I'm just making the point of, are we willing to do whatever it takes? That's the whole point I'm making. If that's part of the journey.
I do want to add some context to that, though. Because if you go back 100, 200, 300 years ago, I don't believe that the individuals had the same level of could have the same level or spread of influence that we have today.
Everything is relevant, though.
It is relevant, but I'm saying in context today, as quickly as we could pick up on information, like you have to be really, 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 really far ahead of your time for nobody to catch on in this day and age. In this day and age, man, it was like 300 years ago, you could be a genius and nobody was on your level, just nobody was on your level, and you couldn't get around anybody who was on your level. But if you think of all of the mathematicians, scientists, like they were cross-referencing each other over generations. Somebody was picking up their work and continuing. So maybe they didn't see it, maybe Tesla's work didn't get fully published, but there's a whole company called Tesla now that's one of the largest. So he didn't have a reach that the Elon Musk of today have, but Tesla's name is still resonating in this day and age, right? And Elon Musk will also be, because he leveraged the work, the message. So again, if you want people to follow, like if you want to have an impact, I do not believe that you can live in isolation and really have an impact.
I don't think it's the same as I don't think.
And I don't want to change the question, but
yeah,
I think, again, in the context of what we're talking about today, we have too much access to information for any person who wants to have an impact to not be able to impact somebody else. And it doesn't even have to be on a large scale.
We have a lot of access to information, but people aren't acting on the information.
Obviously.
No, I get that. But you can look at just how social media plays out, and you can see somebody's watching stuff. Somebody's watching at all times. Like somebody's watching. They might not see your comment, but I go to and I'll see 1, 2 likes or 3 or 4 watches. Somebody's watching something, right? Even it could be even by accident, but somebody's watching. So if it's not getting any traction, like you gotta turn the mirror in on yourself, I think.
And that goes back to the point that I was mentioning. Like you can refine how you're presenting your message to have a better reach. Go ahead, Mark.
I got a question. I wanna like, for the person that thinks like me, you're either.
You mean a Sagittarius? No.
No, I ain't no Sagittarius, bro.
Scorpio. My bad.
Scorpio thoughts here, homie. We the deep
my bad.
ones. Yeah. For the person that thinks like me, and watch this. Let me just tie this in. This is how to render your competition irrelevant. Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan rendered his competition irrelevant by being by overlearning his position and being in a zone. Most of the time when he was playing, he was in a zone. So I don't know if the average person knows what that feels like, to live life in a zone, to be in a zone. Because here's the thing, when you're in a zone, you're not playing defense. You're not waiting for feedback. You're not asking for permission. You're not accepting criticism. You're not asking questions. You're not seeking answers. You're not any of that.
Ooh.
You're not thinking. You're just acting. You're just boom, 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 boom.
That the flow, right?
The flow, right? Now you mentioned artists earlier, right? And I think an artist could identify with this. They're either in the creative flow or they're wondering what they're doing wrong and what they can improve. So I get what you're saying when you say, look, man, I've been putting this out. I've been putting this message out for 10 years. Nobody's listening. I'd be an idiot to keep putting this message out and not look back at me. But as a creator myself, when I'm looking at me, I'm not in a creative mode. And I know that about myself because I know what it feels like to be in a creative mode. You know what I mean? To be in that zone. So for me, it seems to be, it's like I can't be in both of those places at the same time. You know what I mean? I'm either running, looking forward and ain't really paying attention to what's going on behind me, or I'm looking behind me and ain't paying attention to what's going on in front of me. I haven't been able to balance those two. I'm either in one space or the other. So that's kind of the reason why I'm kind of pushing on this right here, because it seems to be difficult to do both. Like you either like creating, and when you're in that creative mode, when somebody say, yo, you could have did that better, you say, thanks, I got you, no problem. And you keep moving. I'm not even, you know what I mean? Like I'm, you know what I mean? I'm moving too fast. This past week, I was moving too fast to even look at my analytics. And watch this, looking at my analytics, looking back at my old tapes, studying what I'm doing is good, but sometimes my emotions become a slave to those analytics, to that feedback. So I don't know, man. To me, to render your competition irrelevant, you got to be in that zone. So I don't know. Feel free to speak on that. Either one of y'all.
That's good. You hit the nail on the head. Like it's taking action, and to that point, I've been kind of in that space too. It's like I see myself being pulled in or stretched beyond what I can do on my own, right? Like I know I can't accomplish it in my own strength, but I'm being pulled in this direction, and I don't know all of the answers. I don't know how, but I believe that I have the capacity to do it. And then there's my former self, which can get distracted by the noise, right? Or that pull from where I've been. And so navigating that is a challenge, right? Like it really comes down to making a decision. And I was sharing with a friend of mine today, like, for the past close to a year now, I've been in this community. And so every morning, 6 a.m., I'm talking to these people who think wildly, dream big, right? All of this stuff. And like I'm constantly being fed with that. And then every week for almost the past year, I've been doing, having conversations with my mentor about different financial topics and life in general. And then I'm also listening to the Secret to Success podcast on a consistent basis. And then, I'm being exposed to this environment, these associations that are pulling me and stretching me to become more of who I already am, right? But I can become more of that. But there's always these silent, I'm not just silent, but like there's always this noise in the back of, hey, right? Like stuff that I won't. I'm making a decision not to entertain anymore. I remember even on this podcast, I think over a year ago, where I was sharing some stuff about like, kind of like I was into some frivolous, unproductive activities, and now like I don't have room for that, but it doesn't mean that like that noise isn't still there in the background, and I have to choose to ignore it. I have to choose to separate myself from it. But like there's a part of me that's like, I can't let that go, or right, there's people from that environment that I have to be willing to distance from in order for me to get to that next level. And I can see how, I can, like I was saying earlier, right? Like I love being productive, like getting things done and having relationships with other people. And now I'm seeing how I can marry the two moving forward. But that means I have to let go of the relationships that have held me back. And that could be a tough decision, but it's necessary if I'm ever going to reach this next level, if I'm ever going to level up. If I'm going to accomplish what I say I want to accomplish, I have to be willing to release the things that have held me back, that have kept me in my comfort zone, that have kept me average or mediocre. And, right? Like I have to be willing to let that go for right. They said good is the enemy of great, right? If I want to be great, I got to let go of good. And that doesn't mean that those people aren't good people. It doesn't mean that but they're not going to help me get to great. They're not going to help me get to phenomenal. Right. But I'm hanging around people who I see as phenomenal, that I see as great. And I see that it's possible. But am I willing to make the same decisions that they've made? Am I willing to do what a Michael Jordan did? Because they like put blinders on, put my head down, go to work, ignore the noise, right? And it's little things, right, that you could do. Things that I've been starting to do, right? I think over a year, when we were talking on this, even a year ago, I was talking about how it was hard for me to, like, I would get anxious from notifications on my phone. Today, I don't have notifications. My phone stay on do not disturb half the day, right? So like I'm quieting the noise so that I can listen to the voices of value that are pulling me towards what I say I want to accomplish. And it's making a conscious decision to do so. And it's not easy, but it's simple and it's worth it, right? If what you say you want, right? Like there's action that has to go along with what you say you want. You can say it all day long, but the action and the sacrifice has to be made to accomplish it. It's not gonna happen on its own. And I think sometimes we want something, but when we recognize or realize the sacrifice that's required to get there, the sacrifice for most people isn't worth it. It's not worth losing good to get to great. It's not worth losing average to be phenomenal. And
because you might have to dip into crappy in order to get there for a moment. That's what they're afraid of, right?
And I'm actually
like, I gotta slip into average. I gotta slip into poor in order to shoot through great. I mean, through good to great.
And I'm actually not one that would criticize an individual that did that. It's okay. Everything ain't for everybody. The thing is, be honest with yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the entrepreneurship is a journey, man. Like, I remember telling my parents a while ago that I feel that I'm learning in life. Like some people feel like they learn what they need to learn in life through like religion or other means. I feel like business is teaching, I feel like it's teaching me the same stuff. You got to grow to be an entrepreneur. You get what I'm saying? And you can't fake it. You cannot fake it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, I'll share on the other side of that. It seems like where's the thought? Come back. So early this week we were talking to my accountability group as we're reading Atomic Habits and about how it's not a time frame that leads to habitual change, right? It's not some time frame, doing it over some time frame, but really just the number of reps that matter more, right? Mastery comes from the number of reps, period. So you could do a lot of reps in a short period of time, or you can stretch those reps over a long period of time. But the mastery is going to come from doing the work, doing the reps. And so in this space where you're looking to make an impact, like if nobody's following you, it's either a sign that your message isn't relevant to anyone but you, or you haven't really put in enough reps to create a following.
That could be possible.
Yeah.
Right. And
maybe you just haven't found your tribe yet.
You just haven't found it, right? But again, I don't believe that yes, we're all individuals, we're all unique, but we got enough in common that whatever you're dealing with, somebody else is. Right. And if you can, as we talked about Majida earlier, if you can solve a unique problem, I'm sure that, there's 7 billion people on the planet, 330 million in the US. You can't find somebody else with that unique problem.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, I was reading something today. See, I told you I'm studying my industry, right? I was reading something today, and it was talking about like how to create corporate culture or something like that. And it says that people, specifically employees, are motivated by 3 things. 1, autonomy. 2, mastery. And 3, purpose. And you can provide the first 2 by simply having accountability, like personal accountability as part of your corporate structure, right? Your corporate culture, right? You are responsible for this. And when I think about my career, I've had autonomy. I've had mastery, right? I've had the ability to work independently and figure out what works best for me. I haven't had to imitate anybody else, be somebody I'm not. I've been able to maintain my authenticity in many ways. I haven't had to like change my hair or dress a certain way or look. Nope. And now I'm even at like I didn't used to like I used to try to stay, kind of incognito, right? Show up in a nice polo, and right now I still do the polo, but I'll throw on some queen earrings or some, BU designs jewelry. Like, well, like I'm not afraid to just be like completely authentically me. Right. Whereas before I was afraid to, I don't say afraid, but I shied away from causing, right, what we were talking about earlier with children, right? Like that mindset of don't make too much noise, don't ruffle any feathers, right? But what I
Because they
realized,
were afraid of getting fired, and they were because generations were built on like having a job,
fear. Well, it's
fear,
fear-based,
being
but
afraid of being fired, standing out. Now, granted, I mean, and not because yes, like the people, our generations before us had different challenges than we do.
absolutely.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we gotta look out for the police in certain areas today, but like, I don't know how much we dealing with lynchings in the way that they were, 60, 70 years ago or 40, 50 years ago, and things like that. So I know that's kind of like a side point about standing out. But I mean, just to take it to that extreme point, like you can be you in this day and age and really, really make an impact. But go ahead, finish your point. Go ahead.
Well, and what we realize that you hear all the time about diversity and inclusion, and I've heard it defined as diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance, right? So I I wouldn't say that I've gotten to inclusivity per se in my industry, but I can create that, right? I have a unique opportunity to create that to where people are right, and because they have different things in place to allow for it, right? So like I can easily go start a business, become an MBE, woman owned, right? And you there are opportunities already in place for you, right? But I don't want to just get in based on that. I want to get in based on values, right, of excellence and values of reliability and trustworthy integrity, right? Like those intangible things that people don't typically, right? But companies aren't typically based on or founded on. But if you come to the table with that and you have the knowledge and experience and expertise, like you render your competition irrelevant because most people are focused on this profit margin and like that's so. I know that if I create a right, and I think I heard this from Tony Robbins some time ago. If I create a company of raving fans, like they're vested in the company's success, the competition is
Sorry, you get me excited because I feel like we're doing that in our different spaces.
Well, I mean, and the competition becomes irrelevant because who's
You got your
focused
tribe.
on it, right? Like and it's something I put together like a business model canvas, and I shared it with my coach, and that was one of the things that shout out to Womb Maya Harris, right? Her business model canvas worksheet. But one of the questions on there was like, who are your most important customers? I didn't say the owners. I didn't say the client. Nope. The employees and the subcontractors, the people who do work with me and the people who work with me. Because if I keep them happy, I ain't got a problem getting other jobs. I ain't got a problem, right? Like, it's recognizing those gaps, right? And that's the thing. Like, if you are going to go into an industry like Maurice was speaking about earlier, you go into an industry and you see there's plenty of money to be made. Don't go in there going to make money. Go in there and, like you talk about all the time, Bakar, fill the gap. Figure out what's not being done at a level of excellence in that industry, what's not being done, or what's right, what problem you can solve within that niche. I was reading an article earlier just before we got on tonight about it was called How to Create a Sustainable Company from the Ground Up. right? But they were talking about this company out in California that's doing basically 3D models, 3D printing. They're building houses with 3D printers.
Mm-hmm.
They're reducing labor by 95%. Reducing labor by
Blue Ocean.
What?
Blue Ocean.
What's Blue Ocean?
That's a Blue Ocean strategy.
Oh.
If y'all not familiar with the concept,
No, I'm not.
I would
look into it.
Yeah.
Right, but this company was called like Mighty. I don't know, but it was like an interview between the chief sustainability officer, right? Like the title, his title in the company speaks to what it is that they are doing differently. And so it's understanding, right? I come from an industry that's relatively old in terms of how we do things. Technology is still fairly, there's been some advances, of course, but things are pretty much done the same way they've been done for the last 100 years, and some things even longer. And so we're having this conversation about climate and economy and housing crisis, right? So like, how do we, and then on top of that, you have this gap of what I saw in the article today, 400,000 workers that are needed in the industry that we don't have. So an industry that creates a lot of the challenges in terms of global climate issues and emissions and all that type of stuff, right? Like building actually, I think, accounts for like 11% of that. But then you have this gap of people who are needed in the industry. So how do you close that gap? And so thinking about solutions for that, and I'm in a position to where so to the point of the topic that we've been talking about, there are plenty of ways, but you got to think about it, right? You can't just jump into something because I need to make some money or I want to make more money or I see other people making money here. And people do that all the time, right? People jump into real estate or they jump into stock investing because they see other people making money there, but they don't know the gaps. They don't educate themselves. They don't become knowledgeable enough to understand how to make it work for them.
Mm-hmm.
They go in expecting things to work out.
Which isn't a bad place to start. But if you don't put the level of work and effort behind those expectations, you set yourself up for failure and disappointment, right? And failures that cause you to quit, not failures that inspire you to keep going, right? Like, oh, everybody else is doing it. Now, similar to what you mentioned earlier, Margita, if you immerse yourself into an environment of people who are filling gaps, right? Like my coach in trading, who's teaching different individuals and families and communities how to transform, their not only financial mindset, but just mindset about wealth and building wealth, right? And breaking generational curses, right? And showing them through doing and not just sharing it. Because, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm gonna get excited about it. I'm gonna tell other people about what's happening. And that's what's going to make me wealthy. Just by telling other people about it, but not actually modeling it for them. And so you get into this echo chain where everybody's, Ray Ryan and celebrating. You get a whole bunch of cheerleaders in the stands, right? Or spectators. but the people on the field actually doing the work. The people on the court actually putting in the work are the ones who walking home with checks. You know what I'm saying? So you want to differentiate yourself, as Margita mentioned, get in the game. Don't just get excited about being around or being in the stadium. Like get on the court, get in the practice facility, right? Get in the weight room, whatever that looks like in your industry or in your gift. Like get into your gift. How about let's put it that way? Get into your gifts, because that's a unique weight room that nobody else can top you in. Start on the local level, right? Expand through the digital realm. Expand across the nation, across the globe. All right, but get into your gift, get into your bag. That's all I got to say on the topic tonight. That's it. I think there's plenty of ways to differentiate yourself, but ultimately you don't have to complete. If some of what you said, you create a blue ocean, create a space that's uncontested, and nobody can challenge you.
And I would like to myself.
But
I mean, you can end it whenever you get ready to, but I would like to end up my portion of this by kind of doubling back to what you were speaking about earlier about being your authentic self. I've realized that in the last few weeks, I've come to a lot of conclusions, but I've come to the conclusion that like people come to my YouTube channel because, or I feel that they come to my YouTube channel because they want to hear my perspective. That's the reason why they're there, right? And I'm kind of reverse engineering that, because when I'm searching for content online and I put in a certain search, and a bunch of faces come up in the search results on the search engine result page, the SERP, the SERP. I'm looking for familiarity. I scroll through and I'm looking for a familiar face. I'm looking for somebody that I'm familiar with, that I already know, that I've come to like their perspective and how they present their information. And if I see, I put in, how to do such and such, and 10 videos come up and I recognize one person, I click that video because I've come to appreciate their perspective and the way that they present things. The point that I'm making with this is, in realizing this, I'm like, okay, if people are coming to my YouTube channel for my perspective, then that means I got to stop muting and silencing and doubting my perspective. Kind of goes back to a couple of things that we've been hitting on this evening, right? Like, people comment on my YouTube channel sometimes. They say, well, I'm baffled as to why you don't have more subscribers. I get that comment often. And they're like, because your comment is fire. I mean, your content is fire. And it's like, man, listen, I'm not focused on the subscribers that I'm not getting. I'm only focused on the subscribers that I'm getting. I'm appreciative of the subscribers that I'm getting. And I feel that you guys are coming because you want to hear my perspective. So if I'm in the mindset of, I wonder why I don't have more subscribers, that the next step of that is doubting what I'm doing and doubting my perspective. That's how you get to that point. I'm doubting my perspective now. I'm doubting being my authentic self now, right? But if I understand, hey, the reason these people are coming is because they want to hear my perspective, then I double down on that. Excuse me. Then it kind of gives me permission to double down on that. So that just kind of coming to that conclusion just in the last few days and the last few weeks. People are coming to my channel because they want to hear my perspective. So give it to them. Like, go in. Like, y'all know how I get. Like, I get that authoritative tone with me, and y'all have told me before, and I kind of know this already. That's one of the things that catches a person's attention. But again, if I'm always doubting what I'm saying and doubting myself and all of that stuff, like, if it's one thing Donald Trump proved to us is that you can make people believe in a lie if you say it with enough vigor and intensity and believability. You know what I'm saying? Like, really and truly. Like, so I guess the point don't even matter if you're not the best. If you can tell people that, you say, yo, man, this is why you should be coming to my channel. This is why you should be on my content. This is why you should buy my product. Like, you sell them on that idea. But if you don't have enough authority and enough boldness, if you got too much doubt in your voice, they're not going to feel you. They're not going to make that conversion, but they'll make it if they feel you, but they'll feel you if you feel yourself. Like, you got to feel yourself first. And the only way to do that is to kind of understand that, like, kind of going back to Bakar, what you said, kind of like giving yourself permission to, however you want to say that, man. Like, however you want to say that. Right. Like I'm willing to say stupid stuff to end up saying something brilliant. You got to think about that right there. I'm willing to say stupid stuff to end up saying something brilliant. Some people ain't willing to say stupid stuff, and so they never say anything brilliant.
Hey, I'm corny AF. Like, if y'all know me, I hit you with the dad jokes. Like, I'll be the only one laughing until and people will. Like, I don't know, but when I drop a nugget, it's just like, and it's worth it.
Point is, you can't be afraid to share your perspective.
I'm gonna give you the corny stuff, and I'm gonna give you the nuggets. So you just gotta hang around and take it all. Like, that's just what you're gonna get with me. That's what you're gonna get with me. I think one of the other things that that I'm found out is, man, when you got some people who are really invested with you, it can really help your message move when you invest in them by giving them a platform to share what you've done for them. Because you could be doing stuff for them that you're not even aware of, right? And that's one of the things I found out with the new show that I'm coming out with one of my coaches. We're gonna talk about breaking bad habits, right? Breaking bad habits. And one of the things on our first episode we talked about, I asked my coach, what are you gonna get? Just let the people know what they're gonna get with this show. And to hear from her all of the things that she's learned working with me and to be one of my coaches, I was just like, man, you sound like me saying that. But hearing it from you, like, sells me on it even more. It's like you put it out there better than I could have. You put it out there better than I. Why? Because you've lived through it in a way that's relevant, is present, right? For me, it's been like 15 years of this transformation. I might give it to you in a, over your head somewhere. But somebody who's like going through it right now can tell you and can reach the audience in a way that maybe you can't. So invest in other people. Another way to set yourself apart. Like, oh, you love, man, come on and have that conversation with me. And then other people start seeing themselves up there with you. That's how I felt sitting in the room with you all. I was looking at you guys like, man, y'all crushing it. Now you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I am crushing it.
We all crushing it. Can we end it on that? We crushing it. So be your authentic self. Get out there, crush it. All right. That's how you set yourself apart. Be you. Join Be You. Come check out Seer as well. Go work with the financial conductor, Majida Bay. Subscribe to the Helpful Trucker on YouTube for helpful advice and trucking advice. And then come check out Bobe World and Habit to Greatness as we are helping you to make small changes that have a great impact on your life. All right. We out.